Friends, imagine if you had the power to hear what any girl was thinking without her ever saying a word. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what happens with the hero of our story today. And the way he uses and sometimes misuses this power is what makes the story so interesting. We meet Nick Marshall, a charming man working at an advertising agency. Nick grew up in Las Vegas with his single mother, who was a showgirl. Surrounded by glamorous women all his life, Nick grew up believing he understood women better than anyone else. Nick was once married to a woman named Gigi, and together they had a 15-year-old daughter, Alex. But Nick was never really close to Alex, and eventually, Gigi divorced him and remarried a man named Ted. Still, Nick's own life wasn't too bad. He was successful, smooth, and always had women around him. He even had a crush on Lola, a barista at his favorite coffee shop. Nick thought he knew how to charm women, but the truth was, he had no idea what really went on inside their minds. One day at work, Nick was expecting good news. He believed he was about to be promoted, but instead, his boss announced that the company's new creative director would be a woman named Darcy. The reason? Most of their products were bought by women, and only a woman would truly understand what appeals to them. Nick was shocked. He believed he was perfect for the job, and felt humiliated that the position slipped from his hands. On top of that, life threw him another challenge. His ex-wife Gigi invited him to her wedding reception and told him that she and Ted would be going on a 2-week honeymoon. That meant Nick would have to look after his daughter Alex during that time. But their relationship was strained. Alex barely respected him, and to make things worse, Nick discovered she had a boyfriend named Cameron, something he definitely didn't approve of, but Alex didn't care what he thought. After all, Nick had never really been there for her. Meanwhile, at the office, Darcy was introduced to the entire team. Confident and intelligent, she gave an inspiring speech about how they would all work together and push the company to the very top of the market. Everyone admired her presence. After filled with women's products to all the employees, asking them to come back the next day with fresh marketing ideas. When Nick gets home, he struggles to think of anything creative. Out of desperation, he plays some pop music, digs through his daughter Alex's bag, and starts testing out the products himself. Lipstick, nail polish, pantyhose. He tries it all, but the real shock comes when he slips into a bra, and at that very moment, Alex walks in with her boyfriend. Embarrassed, Alex quickly sends her boyfriend away. Nick tries to explain that it was just an experiment for work, but Alex, frustrated and uncomfortable, storms off to her room. Still trying to brainstorm, Nick picks up a hairdryer and starts fooling around with it. But then, disaster. He slips into the bathtub with the dryer still plugged in. Electricity surges through him, and he blacks out. The next morning, his maid Nikki wakes him up. She notices the mess of women's items scattered around and teases him. But before she can finish her thought, Nick responds out loud. Confused, Nikki says, "Wait, I didn't say that." That's when Nick realizes something unbelievable. He can actually hear women's thoughts. When he steps outside, the voices flood in. Women passing by are thinking about everything from broken coffee machines to cheating boyfriends. At first, Nick is overwhelmed, but when he gets to the office, things get worse. He hears what his female co-workers really think of him. Some call him arrogant, others mock his looks, and many resent him. For the first time, Nick sees himself through their eyes. Amid all the noise, he discovers some heartbreaking truths, too. A young employee named Darren is quietly battling suicidal thoughts, and his secretary Annie is miserable in her job, secretly using company phones to talk to her boyfriend. The more he listens, the more Nick realizes just how disconnected he's been from the women around him. Frustrated, he even tries to shock himself back to normal by standing in the rain with the same hairdryer, but nothing changes. Finally, he visits a therapist and tells her everything. At first, she doesn't believe him, until he starts repeating her private thoughts word for word. Amazed, she tells Nick he's the luckiest man alive, gifted with the power to truly understand women. Nick decides to embrace this new ability. First, he uses it on his crush, Lola. He says exactly what she wants to hear, effortlessly winning her heart and landing a date. At work, he softens his approach, becoming more supportive to his colleagues. He encourages Annie to express her love openly and quietly supports Darren during his dark moments. Slowly, people start seeing a new side of him. When it comes to Darcy, Nick uses his powers to get closer, learning about the secret project she's working on to protect the company. Through these conversations, he also reveals more about himself, that he has a teenage daughter who's about to go to prom. Darcy, understanding the importance of prom night for a girl, suggests that Nick help make it special for Alex. Taking that advice, Nick changes his approach with his daughter. When he meets Alex's friends, who instantly dislike him for being the strict dad, he surprises them by offering to buy Alex her prom dress. He even apologizes to Alex for being distant and overreacting in the past, finally starting to rebuild their relationship. Meanwhile, Nick's date with Lola turns out to be a dream for her, at least at first. Thanks to his ability to read her mind, he knows exactly what to say and do. But when the night gets more intimate, things don't go so smoothly. Lola, disappointed, curses him silently in her head. Nick listens carefully, adjusts himself, and finally gives her what she truly wants. This leaves Lola thrilled and deeply impressed. Now, Nick begins to pay closer attention to women, studying their expressions, listening carefully, and sharpening his skills at understanding them. Slowly, he starts spending more time with Darcy, and in the process, he secretly steals her ideas and presents them as his own. Impressed, Darcy starts believing they share a lot in common, and unknowingly, she begins to fall for him. At the same time, Nick's bond with his daughter Alex also improves. He helps her pick the perfect dress for her prom night, which creates a moment of genuine closeness between them. Over dinner, Nick gently warns her that her boyfriend might just be playing around with her feelings. He tells her that if she isn't ready, she has every right to set boundaries. But instead of appreciating his concern, Alex gets upset, accusing him of being overprotective. She storms off, though not before thanking him for buying her the dress. Meanwhile, Nick grows even closer to Darcy. One evening, Darcy opens up about her painful past with her ex-husband, and Nick realizes, by listening to her unspoken thoughts, that she has endured deep heartbreak. Slowly, the two start falling in love, and eventually, they share a kiss. But in that very moment, Nick realizes the painful truth. All this while, he has been cheating her trust by secretly hearing her thoughts. His guilt grows heavier by the day. Later, Lola, the girl from the coffee shop, who once had a crush on Nick, catches sight of him with Darcy. Hurt and angry, she confronts him, saying he broke her heart by disappearing after their night together. Desperate to escape the situation, Nick lies to her, saying he is actually gay. Lola feels awkward, but believes him and walks away. On the big day of the presentation, Nick's conscience weighs him down. Since the idea truly belonged to Darcy, he urges her to lead the pitch, but Darcy refuses, saying the credit belongs to him. Nick goes ahead with the presentation, impresses the board, and wins the deal for the company. Everyone applauds him, yet inside, he feels nothing but shame. Soon after, Nick learns that his boss has promoted him as the new creative director, while firing Darcy because she didn't say a word in the meeting. This news crushes Nick. He finally admits to his boss that the idea wasn't his, but Darcy's, and demands that she be reinstated. Meanwhile, Nick hears about Darren, a colleague who has been battling depression. Worried for her safety, he rushes to her house. On the way, a lightning strike from a storm shocks him, ironically restoring him back to normal and stripping away his strange power of hearing women's thoughts. When he finally meets Darren, he apologizes and assures her that she deserves recognition and a promotion. For the first time, Nick is honest and selfless. Just then, he gets a call from his ex-wife Gigi. She frantically tells him that their daughter Alex has gone missing. Panicked, Nick rushes to her prom and finds her crying in the bathroom. Her boyfriend had dumped her. Nick comforts her, telling her how proud he is of her. For the first time in her life, Alex feels her father's love. With tears in her eyes, she hugs him and calls him Papa. It's a heartfelt moment of healing between father and daughter. Later that night, Nick goes to Darcy's house. For the first time, he tells her the full truth about his strange gift, how he used it to steal her ideas, and how deeply sorry he is. He admits that while his power was unfair, it also led him to discover something real, his genuine love for her. Ashamed, Nick prepares to leave, but Darcy stops him. With a soft smile, she forgives him, confessing that she too has feelings for him. The two finally embrace, sharing a passionate kiss. And with that, the story comes to a beautiful end, where Nick not only finds true love, but also learns what it really means to understand women, not through stolen thoughts, but through honesty, respect, and love.